Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're in, thank you for listening, watching, checking out my opinion. Today, I guess Elon Musk found out why the Democrats don't want waste and fraud to be turned off. I didn't know you could do anything like that, but this big thing about the Doge thing going on, and they're doing their investigations on stuff, and we're gonna find out what's going on. Let's check it out, and then we'll go from there.
All right, we welcome to the show and a special interview with Mr. Elon Musk, who, of course, is famed Trump.
He's on there. I thought it was just going to be a story, but no, he's on there. He's actually on there. All right, let's go.
Advisor, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, chair of X Corp. Elon, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I want to begin, but among other things, everyone's attacking you for your position. What are you doing in the government? There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced.
Yes.
It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Oh, well, so that's your suspicion. Is the website, is the internet up? Is it up yet?
It's up, yeah.
It's up yet. Okay, good. But I just was looking back. Let me see if I get this right. They're setting fire to various Tesla charging stations near Boston. Shots were fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Various nonviolent...
Shots fired, not a metaphor.
Shots fired, yes. Downtown New York, marching against the Tesla showroom. Your stock is way down. You've been criticized left and right.
But look on the bright side.
I mean, why are you doing this?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Yes. I'm an optimist.
Yeah. I don't know. That just seems a little awkward to me. I mean, just the way he's responding to all of this. I mean, maybe he just doesn't have a care and he knows everything's going to be all right, or it didn't really hurt his whatever. It didn't hurt his business. Shots fired. I don't know any of this story. This is my first time watching it, but to me, it just seemed a little weird. His responses to, some of the questions. Maybe the guy's trying to get a negative response out of him, or what. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I just thought it was a little weird.
But besides that,
yes. I mean,
how's your day?
What motivates you to do this?
Was the opera good?
It's tough sledding.
Yeah, it is tough sledding. But I think we're doing the right thing here. There's been a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. When you're part of the government, you saw a lot of that, and there's been if you look at the Inspector General reports and the Government Accountability Office, there have been many audits that have pointed out that there's a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. In fact, there was a report issued by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, last year. So during the Biden administration, which estimated the federal government fraud to be $500 billion. So just to be clear, that's not a Trump administration thing, that's a Biden administration thing. So what we're trying to do is get that number down to a much smaller figure, save money for the American taxpayer, stop money being spent on things that I think very few taxpayers would agree make sense. Transgender animal surgeries, or why are we spending money? Why are American tax dollars being spent on this? The president's gone through a long list of absurd things. Why are the 20 million people who are definitely dead marked as alive in the Social Security database? Why?
Now, I know for certain, because being in IT, I'm in IT. Now, some of these places, these government offices, don't update their operating system. Okay? Now, they don't update their operating system. I'm pretty sure some of them are probably still on Windows 7. If you think about it, there's a lot of older people in Congress, and there's a lot of older people that works in government that do not know how, or just don't want to do anything with a computer. So when it comes to them touching the computer, they probably like, nah, I don't want to do it. So they're not going to get anybody to update the operating system, and some of them are still on the old operating system. So that could also cause a lot of errors. But we're just going to tag along and see what this government, this administration is going to do. Hopefully, everything can come out to a win for the American people. Hopefully, it's a win. However you go about doing it, no violence. Let's just let people do their job and see what goes on, okay?
Where hundreds of millions of dollars of small business administration loans were given out to people aged 11 and under, according to the Social Security. I mean, like, these must be some very enterprising 8-year-olds, you know.
And some pretty strong 150-year-olds.
Yes, exactly. As the president said, you know, we have an enormous number of people marked as alive who are 160. He didn't know the country was that healthy.
Yes, yes.
You know.
So demystify this. How do you do it? Okay. How big is your team?
Yeah.
Where'd you recruit most of them from? And what is it that makes you choose, the Treasury or Social Security or USAID? How does it work? Let the public know, please.
Right. Well, we just basically follow the money. We look at the president's executive orders, and we also just follow the money. So we started looking closely at USAID because they were completely violating the president's executive orders to suspend foreign aid. What's called foreign aid, but in our view is a lot of corruption.
Okay, the question is, did they look at the USAID before the executive orders were being not listened to, or after?
So what we saw there is just a tremendous amount of money being sent to non-governmental organizations. But actually, this, by the way, is, I think, one of the biggest sources of fraud in the world, is government-funded non-governmental organizations. This is a gigantic fraud loophole where the government can give money to an NGO, and then there are no controls over that NGO. So they've given billions of dollars, in fact, we estimate tens of billions of dollars, to NGOs that are essentially scams. And
By the way,
trying to put a stop to that. So
I don't want to interrupt, but Secretary of State Rubio just come out, I think he tweeted today, he has accepted over 80% of your recommendations to shut down in USAID.
Right.
So your review and analysis was spot on.
Yes. So I think when people criticize, say, what DOGE is doing, we say, well, which part specifically? Because we put all of the actions of the DOGE team on the doge.gov website and on the DOGE handle on X. So we post the receipts. So it's like, this action has been taken, this action has been taken. So when we get criticism, we say, like, of what? Which line do you disagree with? Like, which cost saving do you disagree with?
I would agree that's transparency. But you got to look at it both ways. You could look at it both ways. Was the last administration making up numbers? Because everything that Trump is doing, most of the things that Trump is doing, the tariffs, the the deportation and all that, the last administration before that were doing that too. Obama did it, but Biden did it. There were stuff like that, but there was not a lot of transparency on that stuff, and there wasn't a lot of coverage on a lot of that stuff because it wasn't at a massive scale. Look into it. Don't believe me. Look into it.
And then people usually can't think of any.
No.
So
it's transparent line by line.
It's transparent line by line.
Which is quite remarkable.
Right. And so, and then with respect to the Treasury, for example, the two main recommendations we suggested, which have now been implemented, was that any payments going out of the Treasury, especially the Treasury's main payment computer, which is called PAM, things like a payments account manager or something like that, but it's like almost $5 trillion a year, so about $1 billion an hour, that the payments be coded with the congressional appropriation, and that there be an explanation for the payment. Very basic stuff.
Did you see the news guy, the interview guy? He looked at Elon like, what the heck are you talking about? I don't speak that language. Speak normal to me. I kind of feel him. He was going a little off, I didn't understand some of it.
And just doing that, we estimate will save $100 billion a year.
You're not really, let me see if I get this right, particularly with Social Security, you're not really changing policy.
No, yes.
You're auditing the fiscal mechanisms to make sure that, from point A gets to point B, and that's where it's supposed to get to. In some cases, it doesn't get there, or in some cases, it may go over there. But that's it's not a policy exercise. You're not changing laws. You're just doing what any business would do in a profit and loss audit.
I think we're really what we're adding here is caring and competence. And there's a massive amount of fraud of basically people submitting Social Security numbers for Social Security benefits, unemployment, Small Business Administration loans, and medical, where those are fake Social Security numbers, or they've stolen somebody else's Social Security number, and we're trying to put a stop to all of that. And that's the number which is estimated to be on the order of 10% of federal expenditures, which is, half $500 billion.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
You're working with the agency heads. You're working with the cabinet secretaries.
Yes.
I saw Howard Lutnick was on TV yesterday saying you were partnering with them. Is that fair?
Yeah, what we do is in consultation with the cabinet secretaries and with their departments. So we're really trying to be we'll refer to ourselves as tech support. We're really helping the department get a handle on things, because what actually happens here is you've got this sort of vast federal bureaucracy, and then you've got a very thin layer on top of the politically appointed officials, and what tends to happen is that the bureaucracy, frankly, is in control, and they largely ignore the politically appointed people.
Why should the bureaucracy?
I'm sure you must have seen that.
I've lived with this twice. I worked for Reagan many years ago, and I worked for Trump in the first term.
Yeah.
It's like a permanent bureaucracy. I might add, it's a permanently liberal bureaucracy.
Yes, very much so.
And it's not a bureaucracy that necessarily enforces or implements presidential policy.
They don't. In fact, they try their best to thwart presidential policy. So the president is the elected representative of the people. And if the president cannot get things implemented as a reflection of the will of the people, then what we have is not a democracy, we have a bureaucracy. We have rule of the bureau, not rule of the people. And that's what we're trying to defeat here is...
That was well said. That was very well said and explained. I like the way he explained that. That was well said.
The bureaucracy and have rule of the people. And as you mentioned, the bureaucracy is overwhelmingly Democrat. So Washington, D.C. was 92.5%, I believe, voted for Kamala. So this is overwhelmingly a deep blue situation.
How do you pick your next targeted agency or department?
Is this the best survival game ever made?
I don't have YouTube
This
Premium.
Is the aircraft carrier shelter you seized. Previously owned.
Gotta get it. Gotta get it.
We're trying to act broadly across all departments, so it's not just one department at a time.
Are you in all of them now? All of them?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes. Oh.
We're trying to make the government more efficient across the board. So yeah.
How big's your team?
We're a little over 100 at this point.
100.
Get to 200.
You're going to get to 200.
Okay, you're trying to... People are losing a job. You're cutting down on, waste, fraud, and all that other stuff, and you're getting rid of all that stuff. But you want a bigger team for this that's to me, it doesn't make sense if you're trying to have a big team to go after all the fraud and you're creating more government, waste. I think it's more waste in that department because you could do it with 100 people that you're having now, because obviously you're doing it with 100 people. So 200 people would mean you would get things done faster. Okay, let's say that. But if you're trying to cut back, let's minimalize it then. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're recruiting from where? More or less.
Basically, it's software people, information security software people, and finance. It's basically, finance and technology. I mean, frankly, I can't believe I'm here doing this. It's kind of bizarre, but
wow. Bizarre.
I kind of think that we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion.
Okay, I'm not gonna let this go. Bizarre. Him sitting there saying bizarre. First of all, I'm not saying I don't like Elon Musk or what he's doing, but for him to say he can't believe he's doing that because he can't believe he's doing it because it's bizarre. What is bizarre? That these are questions that people would ask. So there's nothing bizarre about that. Come on, don't do it. Don't do it. Just do your job, okay? You want transparency? This is part of transparency, okay? I'm not saying that I go against Elon Musk or Donald Trump or what they're doing or like what they're doing. I'm the type of person to say, let's go for the ride. Let's go for the ride. We vote and we go for the ride. There's no reason to bash anybody else who voted for anybody else. Let's go for the ride. But that kind of struck me a little different.
$1 deficit, it keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget. And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually. So our savings at this point exceed $4 billion a day. Mm-hmm. So it's very significant.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Of savings?
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings.
And that stuff can be translated. I mean, we had Russell Vogt, the OMB director, on earlier, through very rescission authority, impoundment authority. But I believe you said it earlier, it's an audit that will not gather dust on shelves. This is actually going to wind up with real savings, bend the spending baseline down.
Yeah. There have been many good audits, like I said, done by inspector generals and by Government Accountability Office, and they just haven't been implemented. Nothing's been done.
That's what I was saying earlier.
I think the GAO identified that there were 17 million dead people in the Social Security database several years ago. It's now 20 million, but nobody did anything about it.
So I'm going to go back to the Social Security thing here a little bit. About the people saying that there's this many people in here, we have all this and that, blah, blah, blah. There's one thing to see all that, and there's another thing to actually see if there's money going towards that, going towards those people. Now, like I said earlier, it could be hey, I never took it out of the computer because I don't really know how to run that thing. There's some younger people in the government that know how to run the computers. I'm sure there is. And there's some people who just don't want to touch it. Some of the people, the older people that, don't want to do data entry or whatever, because there's lazy people in government. Of course there is. There's people not doing their jobs. And that's how you get waste and fraud and stuff like that. People not doing their jobs. There's also people not doing their jobs. They want to not enter the data correctly. So let's see where this whole thing goes with all the data they found about the Social Security and all this other stuff. I mean, it could be the same thing across the board. But if there's active money fraud going on, that's another thing as well. Now, I haven't heard, if I'm wrong, please put it in the comments, but I haven't heard anything other than the fact that they found this Social Security numbers, people that are on there, like a person that was 300 and something years old getting Social Security or did get Social Security or however that works out. I haven't heard anything else if it was active or not. If all these people on that list were actually getting paid, there was money going towards all these people, these whatever. I haven't heard anything about that. If I'm wrong or if you have anything, please put it in the comments and we can continue with this. But let's go above that and say all the other things that they say. They see active fraud going to this, and this, and this. Like some of the, like he said, the transgender whatever research. Is that still going on, or was that something that money went to? I don't think that was explained. If there's money going towards it, or if money did go towards it. I mean, like actively going towards it now. Because I know there's some things that there are active, and that's why they wanted to put a stop to it. Like put a halt on it, stop until we figure it out. I think that's reasonable.
And
I think we can sort of look at this as a complaint minimization optimization. So basically, if the government sends money out to whether it's wasteful or fraudulent, nobody complains if they receive money. But they do complain if they don't receive money. And the people that complain the loudest are the ones receiving the fraudulent money.
And you're on it.
Yeah. So the goal here is let's not have America go bankrupt with waste and fraud. So that's what I'm here for. And we're making good progress.
Yes, you are. You're going to go another year?
Yeah, I think so.
Final report, middle of next year?
Well, we're just getting things done as opposed to writing a report. Like say, reports don't mean anything. You got to actually take action.
Yes.
So the waste report in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. So that's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here, and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing. If we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave, and they'll lose voters.
But you have President's support.
It's a lot more than that. It's way more than just voters and immigrants. It's way more than that. But, it's a rabbit hole. We're not here to go down a rabbit hole, but just to say it's a lot more than that. That's just not even the surface of it. That's not even the surface.
Said so again yesterday. He completely supports your operation.
Yeah. Well, thanks. But that's super. Without the president's support, we couldn't make any progress here. Yeah. I mean, where you'll see the biggest outcry is from the Democrats who are they don't want the waste and fraud to be turned off because it is a gigantic magnet to attract illegal immigrants and have them stay in the country. And I mean, you see some of the crazy stuff, like where money from FEMA, which is FEMA is an agency that's meant to take care of Americans in distress. and a bunch of their money was being sent to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegal immigrants. And
that does need to stop. That doesn't need to go on. All that stuff like that needs to stop. Now, cut off all that money. Cut it off.
And that was happening even after the president was elected, and even after he signed an executive order saying that needs to stop. So we actually made sure that that money did stop going, because obviously it's outrageous that American taxpayer money is spent on luxury hotels for illegals. But you have to say, like, why was that being done? It was because the Democrats are trying to import voters, basically.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. And that's also why there's no voter ID needed.
Okay, I'm going to say a little bit of this. It's a little bit more than votes. Okay, American government wants to be the big brother of the world. The American government wants to be the big brother of the world. And I don't want to say police everybody, but try to be a little bit in everybody's business. And, you know, it's like the family member who cares more about their friends than their actual family.
In fact, in California and New York State, you're not allowed to show voter ID.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that seem insane?
Insane.
Yeah.
I say that as a New Yorker. It's insane.
Yeah, insane.
And it violates the entire Constitution and the principles behind it.
Yes.
Producers are yelling at me to get out. I don't want to end this interview because it's too much fun.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you one thing, 20 seconds? Nothing to do with Doge. Can you rescue the astronauts?
Yes, we're bringing them back in a few weeks.
There's not near enough attention being paid to this. You're going to get them back?
We're going to get them back.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your service.
Yep. That was quite the. I noticed a couple things that were just standing out. Like he said, just ridiculous. I don't know what the ridiculous meant, and then his response to some of the stuff that the interviewer guy was asking, the questions he was asking, just Elon Musk, some of the. I mean, I don't know if that's part of his personality or what. I'm like I said earlier, I'm the type of guy that likes to go for the ride. Okay, we voted him in. Let's see what happens. Let's go for the ride. If it doesn't work, we gotta, let him go. Gotta let him go. Like I said in videos before, we have to always remain heard. At all times, keep things going. If something's not working out, we have to remain heard. We have to remain heard in a way that is, in a positive manner to move forward in life so that we could grow as a country. Now, we've been up, we've been down. That's everywhere. We've been up, we've been down, but we can only let things go down so far before it's like, no. We all have to put our hands in. Everybody has to put their hands in. Okay? So, but let me know what you think about Elon Musk and his thoughts from the interviewer and what he's doing. If you like what he's doing, what part do you like? If you don't like what he's doing, what part do you like? Do you think there's enough transparency? Do you think this is all made up? What do you think? Whatever you have it, put it in the comments and we can keep this conversation going. And I definitely will revisit a lot of this stuff. But that's all I have for this one. Whatever time zone you're in, thank you for tuning in to listen to my opinion. Thank you.